Shopify just released a new modal web component in Polaris, and I think it finally solves the problem that we had with modals as app developers. Let me show you some context first. At the moment, in all of my apps, I'm using modal from the app bridge. It looks like this. It loads in the middle of the screen and feels like a part of Shopify UI. But there is a problem with this modal. When you open it, under the hood, it will create another iframe on the page. So if you will check the source code, you will see that all of this content located within another iframe. And Shopify will copy the content of the model from the main page to the new iframe. This is quite complex implementation. I guess it was made primarily for security reasons. But if you're creating somewhat complex model, for example, with form within, it will be quite different to communicate with the main app like this, because you will need to send signals between your main iframe and model iframe. Also, there is another problem with this solution. Since the content of the model is a remote resource, it will take some time to load it. And I saw on production, my users end up waiting for a loading indicator, because since it's a remote resource, it might take some time to make an HTTP call and then parse the response. So this solution is definitely not ideal, and we needed something better. And Polaris team finally offered us a great solution to this. So here is the new model web component. It looks exactly like that. But let's try it in action. Let's try adding it to the real app. I will be using this template app as an example. I already have a few models here, and let's add a new one and see how it works. So here's the new button to open model. We can click on it, and as you can see, the model is open. It looks a little bit different from average models. As you can see, it's rendered directly within the app area and not within the context of the wall screen. But Shopify actually moved it a little bit, so it's actually centered in the middle, in the end. But what's more important is how content is rendered. So let's take a look. As you can see, the content is also a web component, and everything here is just a regular page. There is no more iframe, so it's just the content that we created in the beginning. This solution looks very similar to models from Polaris React and to models that we used in Polaris View components. Let me show you how it used to work in the past. I will add one more model, which is old Polaris View component model. As you can see, it's opened also within the app, but it's not centered, and it's visible that this is part of the app and not part of the Shopify admin. Just compare it with the new model, which actually makes it very difficult to understand what's going on, because for the end user, it looks like this is a Shopify admin, model. That's it. Now let's migrate our existing bridge models to web component and see which changes need to be made. First of all, before we doing this, please make sure that you are using the latest version of Polaris CDN. In the past, there was experimental version, but Shopify just released a new version, Polaris.js, which you should start using in your app. Otherwise, you won't have access to models and all new components. Once it's done, let's take a look at the markup. Here I have the old bridge markup for defining model element. Let's replace it with the new model. Basically, all we need to do is to replace ID. Also, for command 4, we need to update ID as well. UI title bar is now controlled by model heading, so we can paste it here. We can also rename buttons, have primary action and close, and we can copy the content to paragraph. Finally, we need to attach our stimulus controller, which is used to open and close models. Now the markup is done. Let's take a look at stimulus controller. The controller is pretty simple. It's just used to open and close the model. All we need to do is to update these methods. They has been renamed from show to show overlay. So let's use them and use hide overlay as well. Let's save our changes. We'll load the page and try the new model. Yeah, as you can see, everything works. It opens, it closes. The only annoying thing is that it scrolls the page up, but hopefully it will be improved in the future versions of the component. I really like this solution. Now we have pretty solid version of Modal, which can be used for all kind of confirmations within the app. And we can replace bridge version, and we can also replace Polaris React Modal if someone is still using it in the app. In general, I think it is time to start migrating to Polaris Web Components because it seems like almost all pieces are already in place, and it should be possible to implement the whole app UI using this new tool. I will be trying it and I will be sharing my progress. So if you're curious how it's going to be, subscribe and I will be sharing my journey.